Hello and welcome to Sidequest. This is our weekly video game show here at Geekverse. I'm your host Dylan Muss, and I have with me the BMP Travis Snell. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
Good. Do you know what that stands for?
Oh, it's
It
like
ties
some
into what
acronym.
It's tied into what we're talking about tonight, the video game. It's a play on that.
It's big something, right?
Yeah. So in Doom, the BFG is the big effing gun. So I'm the big effing podcaster. That's
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
BMP though. Big. What is your acronym? Big MP.
Oh, I don't know why I had the M there.
Is
There
it
you
Big
go.
Mother Effing Podcast?
Yeah,
Is that what you're going for?
There we
Okay.
go. I'll throw the F in there quickly. No, I meant the F, but yeah, no.
There's no way I would have figured it out then. It was
No.
too cryptic.
No.
You didn't even know what it was.
No, I didn't even know. So, yeah, jeez. Oh well, my bad.
Oh well, that happens sometimes. This is going to be a fun episode of SideQuest. We're really talking all about Doom. It's a one topic episode. So yeah, should be a good one. Obviously, Doom: The Dark Ages just released a few days ago, about a week ago at this point. So we've had some time to play some of that. But yeah, other than that, just a couple quick shout outs. Hit up our Discord, good place to hang out, chat about all the fun news happening. Best place to go in the world, in the whole world, I wager, on the whole internet. Patreon.com/geekverse. I mean, I think that was a great place to go because you just get all sorts of crazy content, tons of stuff, endless content, overflowing a BMFP amount of content, and it's ad free. You get stuff early, exclusive stuff. It's that's where I would go personally if I was gonna hang out on the internet. How about you?
Good. It's a good place. That's why I just knocked on wood because I can't remember how long we've had the Discord going at least, but we've yet to have to ban or kick someone. And I feel like many people that are listening to, like, I'm not trying to brag, but we got like, hundreds of thousands of listeners depending on the week or the episode. So it's nice that, and not all of them are on the Discord, of course, right? But I would have thought we're coming on 10 years, especially the amount of times we've had big spurts like after an end game or 2022. Like, they go, okay, we're going to get somebody in here that's like, maybe that's good. Maybe it's the people that listen to us know that they if it's a bad person, like, oh, that's not a place for me. But the Discord is tons of fun, and we got so many channels now. There's just for different shows and the wrestling and the video games. So that's a good way.
I don't think we're big enough that you're not going to ruffle too many feathers if you're like being a troll. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we like if we were a bigger podcast, people would come to troll us more because they'd get more of a reaction from people. But we've always, like, when God Loves Me 69 joined, we're like, well, that's an interesting name.
I was
wonder what
worried
kind of
about
ruffles
that.
this guy feathers this guy's gonna ruffle, but he's quite chill. Thank you. Shout out to him joining.
I was
Patreon.
worried. Yeah, I was worried about that, and when he joined for the one after 9, I was like, oh,
Yes.
that can't go well. But
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see him again. He keeps saying he's going to pop up, and he's been saying that since the last GB day. We haven't seen him since before then. So
anytime he pops up in the Discord, he's commenting on like a podcast that happened like 3 months ago. Is what I've noticed. I feel like he's just a little bit behind, which is cool. So in 3 months, let us know when you've listened to this episode.
Yeah,
and
or
pop
time
into the
travel.
Discord.
Maybe that's it. He's
Maybe.
a time travel. He's all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, Patreon's good. We got lots of stuff, especially for June. Yeah, that's going June and July. There's lots of fun stuff tying in with our tenure that we're going to announce in June. So yeah, the next 2 months you're going to get like a bevy. You're going to be spoiled if you're a patron over there. So look out.
Yeah. So let's with that get into let's talk about some Doom here. So I want to roll back in time a little bit and just kind of fill in some history lesson. I think you and I have pretty much the same history, which is like we played Doom 2016. Did you play any of the games back in the day?
For sure I did, but not in the sense of like, I feel like that's a game that either came with a PlayStation or if there was like a disc that had like, here's 10 games, like that was on there, or a demo. Like I definitely had played Doom, but never to the point where it would have been like, oh, Super Mario World where I played it many times. Just was, I think, because at that point, like, trying to think of other first-person shooters that were very popular in that era, and the only other one I really played, I think there's a game called like Star Wars Dark Empire or something like that, which was I felt like a Doom knockoff, but I think just like, I guess GoldenEye, of course, GoldenEye as well, but
yeah, there's like Quake and Wolfenstein, but mostly like PC kind of stuff, which is not really your scene, right? Like
I never
Doom
played
64
Wolfenstein.
was like a weird thing that was like, whoa, this is on a Nintendo console? Like,
and
what's going on here?
I definitely feel like I remember the case, and I remember whether it was at my house or just some friend owning it, and that's like an easy game, like let's put in and play Doom. So I had played it, but I never was like a Doom guy until 2016 when I started to like, broaden the horizons, some shooters, and it just looked very chaotic, and it delivered big time. So.
Yeah, I think same for me. I don't know if I played any of them back in the day at all. I don't think I ever just had a friend who had it. Like we played some other random ones like Turok and like always
for
had
sure,
friends
that,
into
yeah.
like Halo and Call of Duty and stuff. But yeah, I feel like Doom never, maybe even like a little bit of Wolfenstein experience. But yeah, like Doom just never really crossed the barrier there. And then 2016, I think I was even late to it. I don't know. This was in Geekverse era, so I'm sure it's been covered in real time at some point in this podcast, but it's just been so long now. But I want to say I jumped in there before Eternal came out, definitely. So maybe I was like a year late or something like that. I don't think I played it at launch, but definitely played
Yeah.
through it. Yeah.
And because I'm sure, I don't think it was. I think it's one of those because I remember me and Amber played it, but I thought
Yep.
it was like, like not a. I don't. If I paid for it, it was a cheap game. It was either on a very good
Yes.
sale or a like game of the month sort of way. Because I did play it after the fact. I think it was just I remember seeing E3 looked really good, and I remember she had played it, and then I heard good things. So okay, I'll give it a try. But I think it
Yeah.
was like that, where it's either free game or later. So I don't think it was ever talked about on cast, other than just like eventually we'd go, oh yeah, great game, fun game, you know.
Yeah. So going back to that, like, what do you? Is there any like specific memories you have about it? Because I feel like for me, when I think back on like Doom 2016 now, it's like I don't know how much I would have to say about it. I'd be curious if we did a retro someday, like what the discussion would be. Because I
Yeah.
feel like it's an arena shooter. Really good progression. Each level gives you like a new gun and like a new demon, and it has like a perfect runtime. I think that was like maybe my only criticism if I had any of it was like, oh, I wanted 1 or 2 levels like once I have the full move set, but the game I feel like it's pretty breezy, even like 8-10 hours
Yeah.
or something like that. You kind of just get through it, always something fresh and new, but it never just like lingers. And I feel like these sequel games have kind of added a bunch of bells and whistles on top, but I think that game is just such a core, like fundamental great FPS.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've not replayed it, but I kind of want to, in playing Doom Dark Ages, getting back in there.
Yeah, it's tough because my history is I did 2016, and then a Doom Eternal I had on the list, but just never got around to it. And then we heard there was a third game, a Doom game, and I was like, okay, eventually I'll have to play it. But then once it was like a semi prequel, I was like, okay, I can get to it eventually. But that's the thing, like playing this one and then even the 2016 one, they are. It's usually the environment and then things around them that change. The games they're pretty similar. Like even with this game, like I didn't get that far, but I felt like it was pretty like you're talking about breezy, just going through. It's like, oh wow, I'm already at level 7. I only played like a couple hours to start with, right? It's like, and I guess because they kind of, I feel like they are trying to get you to do replayability as far as because there's so many different functions as far as difficulty, which we'll get into. But 2016, I think I just remembered that was at a time where it was very much like obviously Warzone. I don't know if that had come out yet. No, it would definitely not come out yet. But I just feel like we were in that era of like lots of Call of Duty lights for a while. And I think that's the thing that I had the most fun with Doom is I'm trying to think if there's any games around that time that were like Doom. And obviously that was already a first person shooter, but most of them were their army based, their team tactical based, their SWAT based. It was very,
or even just a lot of like PC specific ones. Like those
Yes.
kind of games aren't typically like those more Twitch shooter things aren't really seen as big console hits either.
Yeah, so the thing I just remember from that is obviously that where it's a way more frantic, crazy shooter. It literally just feels like you've taken the drug speed. I never have, but playing Doom 2016, I imagine, and even this, I feel like that's comparable because you're just trucking a mile a minute. But I just remember having a really good time with it. And like you said, though, there's not, because same thing in this game, the story is very light, right? They give you a few beats and that's about it. Like it's not like you're not playing this game for the story. I think the way I equate the Doom games are is like a carnival ride type of a game. If you're sitting down and they latch you up and then you're going through all these different areas, that's what Doom is. And obviously you can make it super hard, right? There's some settings where it's like if you want the one death per campaign, you can. But I just remember having a great time and it being very fast and a lot at you, and much like this game too. So
yeah, and then I think so. Same thing for me when it came around to Eternal. I think the reason I didn't pick it up at launch is because Doom, just in general, but like Doom specifically, 2016 was like, oh, this is like a PC game. I want to play this like mouse and keyboard. And by the time Eternal came out, my computer was just like kind of behind the curve and it couldn't run Eternal. So I was like, I'll play this again someday. But I remember me and Amber specifically being kind of excited for the multiplayer, just like to check that out. Oh, we can play this together. You can play as the demons. That's kind of weird and interesting. And just never got around to it because of the PC side of it. So that's definitely been like a bit of an adjustment with Dark Ages. Is like I really feel like the locomotion of these games, it's a mouse and keyboard ass game, but obviously there's like a million settings in there to make the controller like behave exactly as you want it to. But I think that's probably the reason, if I roll back in time, why I didn't pick up Eternal when it did come out. And now I'm like, on Xbox and Game Pass and stuff. So all these games are just right there in front of me. Still haven't gone back to Eternal, but now that Dark Ages is like the new hotness on the street, it's like a good time to jump back in. So yeah, it's been fun to do that. So you're on like mission 6 or 7, something like that. A few hours in. What are you thinking of Dark Ages at this point in time?
Yeah, so like obviously, like I said, with Eternal, I'd planned to get to at some point, and obviously with it being on Games Pass, that was down the line. But this one, what brought me to it was just the setting. It is Doom, but it is kind of the more medieval type of area. So that's why I just like, okay, this is really fun. Again, there's not much story, but there just was something about me with them being a prequel. I was like, oh, I can just easily play I don't feel like bad. Like, oh, I don't want to play like Doom, 3 in our era without playing Eternal or whatnot. But I love the aesthetic. If not, I haven't got, like I said, I've done the 7 missions. I hope it kind of gets even more so that way as we go along, because I feel like there's lots of great stuff, but there is then some missions where you get deeper in. And it does just feel kind of like 2016, where it's just kind of like a hellscape. It's like, okay, I wish there was even more as far as setting wise, feeling a bit older, but that's okay. I still love that. We've talked about this, and this would probably be like a good side quest to do or something one day. You would probably need the other guys too. But like when we talk about weapons that are iconic and fun to play with, like everyone talks about like the axe in God of War, right? The newest ones, and that how fun that is to control. The shield to me is this go around, and like I'm a shield guy because like I love Captain America. So like even in like Marvel to Alliance, so like I usually like shield mechanics, but in here, and I haven't even unlocked all the stuff I'm sure you can do with it, but I think that's fun. So I think what the thing is that there's 2 things where I guess I'll say 3 so far of what I'm enjoying. Where I think the gameplay is pretty much the exact same as far as you get dropped down. There's going to be a bunch of demons. You got to get from point A to point B. There's secrets everywhere, and the setting's a little bit different. Like if you've played one Doom game, you've played them all in that sense. But then there is these really cool things, and I think I got Taylor hyped on it because I talked to him. And I don't know if they did this in Eternal because they didn't do it in the first Doom that I can remember 2016. But the idea of like you getting in a mech and taking on like these kaiju demons, like that's great. There's one mission where you're flying around and doing stuff, and even though these things aren't maybe the funnest, smoothest to do control wise, just the novelty of it and how fun they make it for just like the setting and what you're doing, that's a big add-on. And that's, you kind of get a nice break, right? You'll do like 2 missions of just the grip and rip it, you're mowing everything down. And for me too, again, I haven't played Eternal, and Doom I think near the end gets that way, but already in like the first mission, the scale just feels bigger. There's a part where you get on a turret,
definitely,
and it's just like there's just hundreds of demons running at you. But this game, like I'm gonna beat this game because I forgot how fun these ones were, and then I'm gonna probably play Eternal. Not sure if right after, but probably within this calendar year, because man, this game is just, and this series, it's just, if you just want to be a badass and just feel cool, like there's a moment in the first mission where the Doomslayer's jumping out of a copter and he's about to land. I'm like, oh man, I really hope they play some like heavy metal rock and roll here. And he lands and he looks up, and then the music hits, and then you see all the demons running at you. You're like, yeah. Oh yeah, like you just feel, you're just juicing. You're just like, man, I am the coolest mother effer in the world. So yeah, I think I'm playing on the 4th highest difficulty. I haven't died yet. Yeah. So I haven't died yet. Well, because like the first 2 are like, the first one's like story, and then the second one's like beginners, and then I was like, I feel like I know I've played it enough to do. I was one time close. I got down to like 2%, but I've also been finding those I haven't died yet, but those helmets, the sigils or whatever they are that you can bring back. So there's one time I was really close because I was low on ammo. But no, this is if you're a shooter, you got to play it. But if you just want that type of feeling of just I'm a badass, we're having fun, that's what these games are. They're just like wish fulfillment to the brink here. But
power fantasy simulator for sure.
Yeah. But I'm having tons of fun with it so far, and I really, really appreciate those change ups with the creatures and the different levels. I think that's something, like I said, I haven't played Eternal, so if they did that, then obviously kudos to them for already doing that. But for myself, who did 16 to this, that's a big jump, and I really like that addition. So
yeah. So I think I'm not as far as you. I think I just finished the first dragon mission, so I think it's mission 5 or 6, something like that.
Yeah.
Not to be hyperbolic, I kind of hate this game. I really don't like this game, at all. I really brushed up against like almost everything about it. Now I think a lot of what you were saying there of like the setting, the aesthetic, I think is fantastic, and that's why I was excited from the trailers. But I was also so curious, especially back when they did the developer direct back in January where they're like Doom 2016's like running gun, Eternal is like I don't know, dash and double jump. I forget what they say. And then they're with Dark Ages, it's stand and fight. And I was like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know if that's the power fantasy I want from Doom. And I think that has been like maybe the strongest. There's one stronger thing, but that's like a big thing for me. Is I just feel like this game feels very stiff, and I know there is a lot of things like the shield dash thing you can do, where you just like lock onto someone with your shield and then just like fly across pretty far distance and smash into them. And it's funny, like just talking about like what you were saying there, if you just feel like there's a lot more going on. There definitely is like there's probably like times 10 the amount of enemies on a given screen, but everything just feels so much more explosive. Like for some reason when you jump into a group of enemies with your shield, it blows up like 20 guys. So I feel like I feel like the scale, like the maps they're more open rather than being kind of like corridors, I guess. Like they feel like they really jumped into that. But I think the thing that I'm kind of hating the most about this is how big parrying is as a mechanic, because I'm not a parry guy. I don't like parrying in games. Okay. I don't like timing my shield. I'm not into it. Expedition 33, RPG right now is like doing a really good job of that. It's like one game I like parrying in, but otherwise I'm bad at it, and probably because I'm bad at it, I don't like doing it, and so I never play those kind of play styles in games. But this game feels like you can tell me if I'm wrong here. Maybe I just suck at this game, but I just feel like I'm being so forced down. Like I have to do this, or else the game doesn't function very well, or like that's how it's designed. You have to parry? Like I feel like I have to parry so much to deal damage to enemies. Like there was that one spider kind of boss who like just has so much armor that if you're not like parrying his strikes back at him to like weaken his armor, like I don't know, you would just shoot until you run out of ammo, and then you just like don't have ammo. So I just feel like, what am I supposed to do here? I don't know. So yeah, based on your facial reactions, it sounds like maybe I'm just really bad at this game. But that is something to me that like. There was another point too, the dragon mission. I'll call this one out specifically. You're flying through for a little bit, and then you get to this point. There's like 5 like shielded turrets like in a tower, and this is like teaching you how to like parry or like parry/dodge is like the same button, so it's kind of contextual based on like what you're doing. If it's going to be a literal parry or you're just like dashing out of the way and then like getting a counterattack in. But there's like these 5 turrets that are shooting these parryable things, and the only way to progress past this room is like you have to parry all 5 of them because that's like the tutorial for it. And I was the first one, tried to do it like 10, 15, like 20 times. I just couldn't get it. I went up to the next one. Were you going the right
direction? Because some of you got to go up and down, some of you got to go left and right.
I went up to the next one, got it. Third one, got it. Fourth one, got it. Fifth one, got it. Went back to the first one, did it another 20 times. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? Reloaded the save, got it first try. So I think it was just bugged. But like the things like that have happened like multiple times in this game where I just feel like it's forcing me into like parrying and like doing these tutorials over and over again. And I just feel like it makes the game super sluggish. So I'm sure once I get that rust off and I'm into it, maybe it would be a lot better. But yeah, I'm just really brushing against the speed about this game. It just feels like a lot slower to me. Some of it feels harder, and like I love the idea of the dragon mission. I love the idea of the mech mission. But within like 20 seconds, I was like bored of that gameplay. I just don't think it's very interesting to me. So
I can agree with you. Yeah.
A little plot twist here. I lied a little bit earlier. After my 3rd play session with this game, I went to the Game Pass menu on my Xbox. I downloaded Doom Eternal. And I've now played like 7 hours of Doom Eternal. Over the weekend, I've played more Doom Eternal than I've played Dark Ages at this point. And I like that game more. It still has a lot of issues. And, this episode, now that I've mentioned that, will be a bit of a hybrid. I'll talk about Eternal. We can talk about Dark Ages. Talk all about Doom. I like a lot more about that game's doing because I feel like the big selling point of Eternal is like there's just more movement mechanics and there's more platforming, and the platform is not amazing, but it's pretty fun, and I just like platforming more than I do shielding and parrying in video games, and so I think that's why I'm just enjoying that game a lot more. So it's been fun to like, for some reason, Dark Age was finally the way for me to download Eternal and justify playing that game after all these years. But yeah, I unfortunately am not a Dark Ages fan. But you know what? I think it's cool that you're looking at this trilogy, like the reboot trilogy. 2016, as we mentioned, like a pretty small contained game, like really to the point. There's not really a lot of fluff in there, but like with Eternal, they're adding all these movement mechanics. They had like multiplayer, and with Dark Ages, like we're not doing multiplayer anymore, but now you can control mechs and dragons, and like here's all these like shield and parry mechanics and all these new like melee, like incorporating melee more into the moveset, whereas the other games it's more just like the glory kills and a chainsaw, and that's kind of like the extent of melee combat, other than like I guess a shotgun's kind of close range. But I think it's really cool that they constantly reinvent what Doom is, and I'm sure each of these games are going to be favorites or least favorites for a lot of people. It seems like a lot of people still just always preferred 2016 over the additions of Eternal, but I'm seeing people just praising Dark Ages, and it seems like you're really liking it as well. So I think this is obviously a good direction for them to do something new and fresh, and I don't know, it's working for everyone except for me apparently.
Well, because like I said, there's like, other than adding like, okay, new gun, new demons, like the actual gameplay style, there's not much to do with this, right? And for me, it's tough in a way because we talk, since the game's come out, we've talked about this game, I don't know, thousands of times. God of War 2018 is like the blueprint of how you recontextualize a game, right?
Sure, yeah.
But I also think there's some franchises that can't do that, and I think 2016 Doom was the best you could do, but that still felt like old Doom. It was just really giving it a revamp, bringing it into this generation stuff. It wasn't like a full, complete one, like, okay, now it's this deep story where you're the Dooms. It's not that, right? And I don't think you can do that with Doom. So this is what I think you do got to do, is like these type of gimmicks as far as, okay, different areas, I'm not sure, or different eras, right? So I'm not sure what they could do in the future. If, like you said, because even before I got on here, I got like an ad for Doom Eternal. I was surprised. It was like so many like 10/10s, 9.5s. Like, wow, big. Who has this in the draft right now?
Dark Ages belongs to someone. Let me check.
Yeah, so you check that, because I can say I think it's a pretty good winner for somebody. Okay, so there you go. So yeah, I think the ages and eras are smart, but at the same time, if this is very successful, I could see them doing, Doom the Darker Ages or something like that, like stay in this realm for a little bit, because I think just even stuff like having the Doomslayer with like the furred kind of jacket and like the it's cool, like iconography sort of stuff. And I guess for me, I don't disagree with you about the flying. I don't think it's fun to play, but I don't. For me, I guess for that and the kaiju one, I had a good enough time with. I think if there's a bunch of them, I wouldn't like it. I think it's fine if there's like, because there's 22 levels. I would like cap it at like 3. I would say like do your.
I think that would be the cap for each one, I would imagine, or maybe they'll like make them more weaving between, where you do kaiju for half the mission, then get out of the suit. I mean, that's what the Dragon one does, right? Like you're constantly landing on these airships, which is a fucking amazing set piece. It's cool. Since I don't like the gameplay of either thing, I'm not super invested in it. But like the set piece is super cool and unique, and like it shows something that like, oh yeah, only a modern game could do this in terms of just like how much you can load and have on screen at a given time. And I feel like, I don't know, I wasn't, because it kind of seems sort of simple at this point in time, but I do feel like it really is probably pushing the hardware more than I'm giving it credit for.
Well, I would say for that level, when you're talking about like, what it is, you've learned to fly this dragon or whatever, and then what happens is you do the tutorial, which I agree sucks. That to me, the whole pairing, we'll get back to that, that's not great either. That's clunky stuff. And the kaiju thing, like I said, if there's like the introduction, another one, then like a final boss one, or like you said, interweaving, I think that's fine. I think if there's too many, then it becomes a little much. And I guess for me, the kaiju one I was fine with because like it was relatively short. So I thought like just the kind of novelty of it was enough to be like, oh, this is fun. And I would not want to play a game like this continually, or like a side like this. But I it's fine for like a little break here, and it's cool to the world. But that level when you're flying the dragon, loading the ships, when you just like come up to the world and you just got all these ships and massive like castle, everything. It's like, maybe we didn't say it because it's just like kind of, you alluded to it there, but it's just what Doom does, like the scale of these games. Like even that first mission when you are on the beach and there's just like 2 demons in the distance fighting, and like I said, there's like literally hundreds of demons running at you. And it might like, think about the days we played Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Now, obviously, that's on the Switch, right? But like, though, like this could be a game where it's like, oh, the frame rate could just be fucking dying right now because there's so much going on. But it runs smooth, it's fun. But so for the pairing, what you were talking about, I have no problem doing them. I find that I can win them without them. I just was doing it because it does definitely go faster, especially when you hit those green whatever devil effects or whatnot. That works. So, but there's multiple times I feel like in the first 3 missions I was just forgetting to do it, and not even a way where it was killing me. I was just forgetting because I was just busy shooting. I was like, oh, I got to use the shield more, and just to make it a bit quicker. So for me, and maybe it's just because like the Batman Arkham Asylum years in my mind have just like built it up to me that like pairings like completely works for me. But and now it's the point where I do like it for the most part because there's satisfaction. You get a big explosion, you're building up a meter, and then you shout at that thing, the shield. I love the shield jump where you just lock onto a target, jump like wherever, 50 feet, and then just destroy a bunch of people. I love there's so much like mass casualty attacks here. Like when you heat up the shields and you throw, like the enemy has a shield, you'll be shooting them, and then when it gets to a certain warmth, you can throw your shield, explodes everybody. You can also get this update grade for your shield where the energy shields, I'm not sure if you got this one, but if you damage them to a certain color, if you throw that, it will like ricochet off all the people.
Right,
And
right.
I love that stuff because at first it's like, gosh, like Doom and Shield, like that felt like it didn't go hand in hand because that's a game where you're just like taking shots and stuff. But as a weapon, I've absolutely loved it. And yeah, the pairing, maybe it hasn't, like I said, I almost felt like I forgot to do it. I know which Spire boss you're talking about, but and definitely help. I just found myself forgetting. But I will say, yeah, that one time I did almost died. I think the pairing helped me because it was a good couple blocks, like get some momentum back. But
Yeah.
oh, that's unfortunate. At least you liked Eternal a little bit. So.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I feel like with each Doom game, and obviously 2016 maybe being a simpler formula of this, and Eternal and Dark Ages adding more and more on top of it to some extent. Maybe sometimes they pull a little bit away just to make sure it's not too overcomplicated. But I feel like there's always a way you can be playing better, whether it's like, oh, I should have, my grenades have been in cooldown for 5 seconds. I should have used those exactly as they were off cooldown, and just like optimizing your play. And I guess I just feel like the cycle of Dark Ages, a lot of it for me is like, okay, the best way, the most quick way, most efficient way for me to defeat this enemy is to wait for them to shoot a green thing at me and for me to parry it back. And to me, then it feels like anytime parrying is in a game and there's like always like over the top like color coding on it, I feel like I'm just playing Guitar Hero, and I like Guitar Hero, but that's not why I'm playing these kind of games. But it's just like, oh, I'm waiting for that color to get close enough to me so that I can like hit the button at the right time. And I don't know. I once again, I am also just super bad at it. Every game ever. I'm a gamer. I've played hundreds of games. Go look at my Backloggd account, but I just suck at parrying. I still always suck at parrying. And one day I hope to not be this way, but I just find that I just can't get the handle of it. I will say, I think
knew this
Doom
in the
Dark
Gauntlet years,
more parrying games.
Yeah.
I think Doom the Dark Ages probably has the single best difficulty menu I've ever seen in any game ever, where there's like probably 12 to 15 dials you can turn to make the game easier. And as the game was going and I was not doing well, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make that parry window even bigger. And then eventually it's like maxed out. I have so much time to parry now. I don't need to be anywhere near the green thing, and it will work a lot of the time, but not all the time. It's still a little bit confusing there. But you can turn like how much damage the enemy deals to you, how much you deal to them.
Yeah, so cool.
Different things like lock on. You can turn the game speed up or down, which I think is super cool. Like you can just like straight up make
really?
how the meme back in the day was that I would watch shows on like 2 times speed to get through them quicker. Like you can just do that with Doom Dark Ages if you want. You can turn it up to like 200 times speed, I guess, and just like blast through it quicker. Or if you maybe I should have turned it down, but to me that feels like, I'll turn up the parry window, but turning down the game speed for Doom feels like against the rules for me for some reason. So maybe that is just the solution. Maybe I just need to do that. But I cannot praise enough how amazing the difficulty menu is, and I was able to make it like doable. And now I actually feel like I'm doing fine at the game, but I still don't like the core mechanics of it, even though I was able to really tune the experience to what could work for me.
Well, it's funny. One, I love that you literally have like a percentage bar that you can adjust. Like, I think that's such a good way for difficulty wise, like to see where you are. But it's funny that like I was dipping my toes back into Outlaws, and that's what this reminded me of, was the way that there's just so much you can do.
Right.
And I've never seen that in a game, like for the difficulty levels and all this stuff. And it should be that, because there's not one way to play games, and people, whether it's for Dylan that can't parry or people that like for physical reasons can't play X, Y, and Z. It's like they're video games. You can change, like if you have the option to do that, you can change them so people can consume the art. And it was really cool to see all that, and it's great because then you could, like they said, hey, at any time you can go in there and adjust that bar. I haven't yet because I feel like this is like just the amount right. I think I could go up like a tad harder, but like I'm just enjoying the experience right now. And who knows, maybe in a couple of missions I'll go down, because there are times where I wasn't dying at all, but now I think the last mission was when I was on the rope. So kudos to them for doing that. That's something that I wish, and obviously that can't work for all games, right? But for if you can add it in there, that's a nice feature to have. So kudos to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about we take a quick break and we'll be right back to talk about more Doom. Okay, we are back. So let's talk about some more of the, I guess, weapons going on here. I mean, the one from the trailer that stood out to me and I absolutely love is the one that is just like a conveyor belt that is pulling skulls that are it's
Oh
getting
yeah,
chomped up
it's
and
like
it's
the
shooting bits
pulverator
of
or
skull.
pervolator. I can't remember
The
what it is, but
pulverizer maybe.
pulverizer, yeah, something like that.
Which like
So
as soon as I got an upgrade point, I'm like I'm upgrading this thing because this is my
yes.
favorite weapon in the game. It's so
Was that not
satisfying.
in 2016 maybe, or a version of it? I think there
I
was
mean, there's
something
machine gun
similar.
type things, but I feel like that seems pretty unique to me in terms of like it shoots at a pretty wide spread, but it's not a shotgun.
Yes.
It's like an automatic shotgun that deals less damage. I don't know. Like it feels
Yeah.
like a very unique weapon. Plus, like just the. I mean, I'm also that's probably why I'm dying more is because I'm looking at how cool this gun's animation is than like looking at where the enemies are. So I think that is the highlight for me so far. Do you have the? Because you're a couple. Are you one or two missions past the first dragon mission?
That was the last one I played. I'm
Oh,
on
okay,
to the
okay.
next one, which would be 7. Yeah, so that's where
Okay, I was
stopped
gonna
right
ask
there,
because
yeah.
one of the ones from the trailer was like the ball and chain, like the Morning Star, whatever that
Oh,
is
no, I
called,
can't
like
wait
the
to get
melee
that.
weapon. That yeah, I'm really curious how that plays and mixes into the moveset, like where that even is on the button, or if that is straight up like a different weapon that you equip. So I definitely am curious about that one. But yeah, any other like highlights for you there, or any fun upgrades that you got on your build so far?
No, like I said, I like the most of my upgrades have been on the shield, the ones I really liked. Got that one. I did get that. I can't remember what it's called. Where I think it's the gun that has an A start. It's like the incinerator or something like that. It's more like the
Okay.
machine gun one where it's shooting. It's just kind of more like blue. But the
Yeah,
add on
yeah.
that,
The
have you gotten like
plasma version.
yeah, have you
thing?
gotten the one where again I should have wrote some of these names down where you just shoot like the big rods at people?
Oh, like the sniper variant of the
Yeah.
railgun. Yeah, I didn't get
Yes.
that up. I get that. Was it a forced upgrade or did I not? I think I did get that, but I just haven't used it a lot because like I feel like my aim's not not like good enough to
So
use that in Doom. I
yeah,
guess because I'm
that's
moving
where
so much.
when you brought up the spider, that's how I feel like I spammed that boss because anytime big guys are around, that's when I'm busting that gun out. So
Okay,
I'd recommend
nice.
if you do play some
You're using it
more.
like a rocket launcher, pretty much.
Yeah, and like you don't got to be too close, but you don't got to be too far either. I found like mid range is great, especially like the spider's different because he's a bit more lanky. But those big guys, like had like the big bellies and armor, those guys are great because that might also help you too. Because I feel that was the way the blocking would take the armor off. Those big shots would take a lot of those armor off in chunks and everything. And you get 10 bolts, so like does a lot of good damage. And then I felt like by the time I switch over to something else, I'm going through it. So I really like that. I'm hoping there's an upgrade that I can get more than 10 because, like I said, in a boss battle you'll go through them pretty quickly. But there's one I can't remember. It's either in 5 or 6. There's one boss battle I did. Maybe it was I think it was the spider where they had like so much ammo and stuff around you. It's like
Yeah.
that's the good thing I do love about this game. My two favorite things is there's always ammo and I don't have to hit the reload button. I love that it's just like you pick it up and it just goes in
Yeah.
your roster. And I think that was the way with 2016. Maybe it's always been that way, but in a game like this where you are just tearing through people and you got to be like, I think if you had to reload in this game, the death rate would go up like massive percentages just because like just that time if you have to sit back, and I guess you could always switch to a different gun, right? So you could do that, but I do love that you just gotta run, get this ammo, and you're good to go. But yeah, that gun that's like the sniper big rail, yeah, it's just these big metal rods you just shoot out, and that's what I've been busting out for boss battles. So yeah, maybe try that out a bit. And that, like I said, I'm hoping there's an upgrade where I at least could get 20. I don't know, that might be a bit too OP. Like 10 like feels too little, but at the same time, I'm wondering what other upgrades there will be to that sort of thing. Maybe there'll be some sort of explosive one because there's another one. Have you got this upgrade called the pin cushion?
I don't think so.
So it's on one of those other machine gun types. It's not the skull one, but it's you'll be shooting them and then the bullets or whatnot, the ammo sticks into the enemy and then they'll start to light up yellow. And if they light up yellow, you can throw your shield and it like detonates
cool.
a little bomb in them. It doesn't always kill them depending on the side, but the pin cushion is a go-to. It's a tough one because I feel like it's one of the weaker guns. So if you're having a big guy, it's like the pincushion attack is actually really good. But to get there sometimes, if you're getting bombarded by lots of people, it feels like that's a bit risky because it's a risk reward because you're trying to pump this guy up and then throw the shield. But that's where it's like you're running around, you're jumping and stuff. So the pincushion's good when executed, but it can be a bit of a buildup sometimes because if you're missing shots, like obviously that's not going to build towards the pincushion, but that's been a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's when I think back on 2016, how good the pacing was of like giving you new weapons, and then in between that, your ability to upgrade and like change what you're doing, or like, oh, now I can hold left trigger, and it's like essentially like a grenade launcher attached to my shotgun. It's just kind of a new weapon almost. And I feel like game's doing the same thing, where it's just like at a very, very generous pace, like giving you new weapons to
Yes.
mess with. And yeah, like that just feeds back into the whole loop of, I think that's just like what's so fun about these games, as you mentioned, like not reloading, but instead of reloading, it just like once you're out, instead of like you holding your gun out that has no ammo in it, just like automatically switches you to like the next gun.
Yes.
And obviously you can switch to like another one that you have available ammo for. But that type of gameplay is super fun, and it's why it keeps these encounters like super fresh, like constantly. And I think that all these this whole trilogy is doing that. That's kind of the whole core gameplay of it there.
Yeah, and maybe if it the harder difficulties might not have that, because like I said, I feel like I'm like above average or just average. I'm probably average because I bet you the Doom hardcore people, they're playing in like those bottom three difficulties. You know, the people that love this franchise, they're doing that. So I feel like I'm probably an average player. So I don't know how it goes in the other ones. So I feel like every time I get to an upgrade station, I have enough to get something. Again, that could maybe even change later on when you've gotten all your like smaller tier ones. But I feel like that's been a good way to, especially in this game where it's not like a big RPG where it's like, okay, I only have 20 coins, I need 100, and you'll doing like multiple roundabouts of a world or whatnot, like even like a Zelda.
Yeah, you never have
like,
to like, grind. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, I'll come back and get this one day. Where even then with Doom, it's like mostly I get what I want, or it's like, okay, I don't have enough at this moment, but it's just right under, and it's like I'm not even gonna have to wait to build this up. I'm just gonna buy this because and that's how I got to the pincushion one, because I was like, I don't even know like this is gonna be for me, but I was like, oh, I got enough money, I'll just buy this one. It's a bit stronger one, so I do appreciate that. Most of them you get into these like weird summon temples where there's like a demon dead in there and stuff that you have enough money or whatever Doom bucks to get something there.
Doom
so
bucks.
yeah.
Yeah. That's something like in just directly comparing, since I'm back in Eternal now. Like I feel like Eternal is there's so many different types of upgrades, but it's very confusing where all the menus are of it, and you're like keeping track of all these currencies. Like I feel like at least so far in Dark Ages, and once again, you know, since a couple of the missions are taken up by non-Doom guy missions where you're playing these other things, like maybe it slows that progression a bit. But I'm curious to see if it does that same thing eventually, or if they kind of learn that lesson that like, yeah, I think we like overcomplicated like what is just upgrade. Like it should be fun and quick. I think that's like a big thing for me, is like nothing should be taking you out of that core gameplay loop. But you don't need downtime in Doom. The missions should be just like short, high octane, you know, slight little breathers in between, but like for the most part keep it going. Even like the story stuff, yeah, it doesn't usually like pretty quick cutscenes, right, to just get you in the, or if it is a cutscene, it's like amazing. It's like metal and highly produced and over the top and silly and stupid and fun and all that in like the best way possible. So yeah, I'm curious to see how that goes, because I think at this point, like I'm probably not gonna play more Dark Ages until I hear back from you on this and just kind of get more of your thoughts on like, I don't know, because I guess we're both like about not even a third, probably a quarter of the way into the game, maybe. You know, mission 6, 7 out of 20 something. So
it's 22,
yeah, I'm curious to hear just like how that keeps it fresh, because I was pretty over when it said 22 missions. I was like, whoa, that's a lot. And like, you know, not a lot of games like just forecast how many levels there are going to be exactly, or how many chapters. So it's interesting that they did that. Plus there's like bonus side challenge rooms on the side of stuff too, but that seems like a lot. Like I don't know how much. I feel like Doom 2016 was like 10, 12 missions, but I could be wrong about that. I don't know. I might be making that up. And Eternal, from what I remember people saying, but I haven't got that far, is just that it's quite a bit longer game, like too long is what I've heard. A criticism of it.
That's why I wonder if these, even though like I will say just from my, because like I said, if I played 2016, it's probably more like 2017, 2018. From my memory, it felt like those, like just even in particular levels felt longer than what Dark Ages feels like. It feels like for the most part, these are quicker levels in my opinion. So that's where I think that maybe they corrected a little bit there. Like I think it's a pretty breezy experience so far. The fact is like, oh really, already 7? Like I thought it would take a lot longer. And I remember Doom 2016, it felt like it took a while to get me near, and like I said, maybe it's because maybe the last few missions are a bit tougher, but it felt like it took a little longer, where this game does feel like it's going to be on the smaller amount. But never a bad thing if you're enjoying it. Like I said, my plan is to breeze through this because I think I can in the future here, and I'm having a good time. And again, it's a good game where it can, I think, in the best way possible, get a little repetition, because it is just, you know, you drop, you shoot everything. But that's where I think it's a good game. Like, okay, stop, and then a couple days come back to it, clear off 5 to 4 missions, and then go back into it. But because so far enjoyment level, like I got really no complaints other than that stuff's a little clunky, but the rest of the stuff, like I said, it's like the novelty of it has made it like a anti-critic proof for me of like, oh, this is cool, like getting to be like, I like, because when I saw him walk up to the big like mech and I'm like, oh, please tell me, and he's suiting up, I'm like, oh my goodness, like it's good like fan service stuff. And I'm not even a huge Doom fan, but it just feels like stuff where it's Doom, this game, and most franchise, but this game when I'm like, and just be like, oh, wouldn't that be cool to do? Well, we're gonna do it, even if it doesn't play the best, they're gonna do it. So
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like, once again, with the Eternal being top of mind for me now, where at one point in, like, one of the missions, there's a wall that normally you would, like, bomb through it or just punch through it, but this one's, like, super strong. But there's, like, a giant, like, Doom guy glove, like, from one of those mech suits, or, like, a Tony Stark type of thing with, like, the blaster there. And it's like, okay, I clearly have to, like, activate this blaster to blow up this wall, and so you, like, go do this platforming sequence, go through this little room, whatever, and then you get this charger, put it in there, like activate this giant glove that blasts through a wall. But it's like, oh yeah, in Dark Ages now you just get to like be in one of those things fully rather than just like activating one blast from an arm. So it's pretty cool. And
that's
like
cool.
I'm sure those missions, like when you're doing a couple more of those kaiju ones, I'm sure they'll add like more mechanics in there to keep it fresh, like probably because it's mostly melee combat, right? But I'm sure they'll add some more
Yeah.
in like I don't know if there's like one or two more in the game. I'm sure.
Which I'll say, that's probably my weakest point is because you said there was like the stand and fight tagline or whatnot. I hope the upgrades for the actual melee stuff improves to the point where I want to play it, because you can get some sort of like, just, I don't know, fist like icons on the map, and you get 3 hits. That's like you hit 3 in a row combo, you do like a big finish. Or if you've hurt an enemy enough, they get stunned, they turn purple, you can do that. Most of the time I find myself just doing it if like an enemy happens to be close, and I just like kind of reactively like hit it and do it. I'm never like actively going there like, oh, I'm gonna hit this or do this. Like it's kind of like the last thing. Same thing like you were talking about the color prompts. If these people didn't turn purple when I stun them, I don't know if I would even be doing that as much. I would just keep shooting, but it's almost like, okay, I'll do this just to conserve some ammo, right? There's lots of it, but still in the middle of a battle, it's good. And I'll say at least a good thing is most of the time when you do that, the health pops up from them and they just land right on you. So it's like an instant heal for you. But that's something so far. It's like, I don't like have like that much fun with it, but I have fun with everything else so far. But hopefully there'll be some upgrades, and I hope it's not just like, oh, you can do it 6 times, 5 times. No, I hope there's something a bit more to it as we go along. So.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Doom is always, this is going to sound dumb, but like it's always super video gamey. Like it's not trying to hide that. It's not trying to be an immersive experience. It's trying to be a power fantasy, not like this is what it feels like to be in hell fighting demons. Like it is just a, silly first person shooter video game. And like even in Eternal, like I think they changed it where in Dark Ages you are picking up, I forget what the name of the resource is to like have extra lives, but in Eternal it's just called a 1-up on the map, right? Like it's very like, oh, this is like just Mario, and like the color coding, like it's always been like that, when it's like, oh, that enemy's ready for a glory kill, they're like beeping blue, which is like their body does not biologically do that. It's just like, to make it super clear, like in a video game world, like what all this stuff means. So yeah, it's and I feel like Eternal so far, the pacing is really weird. Like I'm enjoying the game more just because of like how fast it is. I like the fast pacedness, and like I said, the platforming stuff, it's not like it's not like Neon White in terms of being a first person platformer of all time, but it's just fun. It's like very locomotive. You're moving around, you're cruising around. But I just like after probably like 6 hours in the game or something, like only like 4 missions. It feels like the missions are much, much longer in this, like even longer than I remember 2016's being. The one I just did today, I swear is at least 2 hours, maybe 2.5 for one mission. So I like did it in like 3 chunks essentially, because it's like that is a fucking long Doom mission. But it's like you're going through this facility, you're breaking down into like the west wing here, you go do a bunch of stuff, and then it unlocks back to the main chamber, and then you're going out to the east wing, you go do a bunch of things. Oh, there's bonus puzzle platformer challenges over here, you bust back to the main thing, you go back over here, now you're in the boss room. Oh, there's a long corridor, there's another boss, and it's like, god damn, these missions just go on. And at the end of this mission, it was like, okay, we have now taught you all the core mechanics of the game. So it just felt like that was the prolonged tutorial. I'm like, oh my god, this is fucking long just to get through like some of this basic stuff. So I feel like the pacing so far seems kind of off in Eternal. Like just overall, like that 2.5 hours, way more time than I want to spend in a Doom level. Like put that bonus stuff in there, and I'll come back and like jump through it a second time perhaps. But like on a first playthrough, like I don't know, I think it should be a little more breezy. And it's weird and / cool that Dark Ages, the levels are way more open than 2016's were, and even more so than Eternal, which is the maps are huge, but it's still pretty like linear corridors. Whereas Dark Ages is more like here's a battlefield almost. Like it feels a lot larger.
Yeah,
But like the
absolutely,
pacing,
yeah.
as you mentioned, is like chunked a lot better. So the missions are a little bit more digestible. And at least in the first few missions, who knows if it continues like that. But I
Yeah.
think I think they did a good job of like breaking it out into more digestible chunks.
Yeah, which I'm fine with having a couple longer missions, maybe more down the line. I agree with you. I don't know if there needs to be like a 2.5 hour long, but that could be
Yeah,
just like
exhausting.
some of the ones you said where people were saying that was maybe some of the complaints the last game, right? If there was, too much birthday going on there. But I feel like with this game, like I think the only like it feels like it's you do like a little learning patch and then they let you play with that for a little bit. And a learning patch lets you play where you're talking about turnout feels like here's everything you need to know. With this, it does feel like, okay, this is what you're going to need for like this first section. And then when you need more, we'll get you there. I think obviously the kaiju and flying stuff, that's a bit different because you have to learn it right then because you're about to go on that mission. But the rest of the stuff for the upgrades, I feel like they've come at me at a good space where I've just figured out, okay, what attacks I like, what upgrades I want, or which guns I'm including and enjoying. And then it's like, okay, here's a new gun, right? And that I think so far I've extremely enjoyed the pace of that. It feels like I'm always, when there's a new gun, I'm ready for it. Because sometimes you can have some games that takes too long and you're like, I'm getting nothing new. Like I'm playing this gun forever. Or it's right away. It's like, well, I haven't even experimented one with this gun. Why should I need another gun right now? And so far I've been pretty happy with the rate of that happening. So.
Yeah, I don't know. How are you feeling about like just the size of the maps? Like, are you trying to go in every nook and cranny and find all the bonus stuff, or are you just kind of breezing through them? Like, how do you feel like you're
Just
experiencing with like
breezing.
the openness of the levels?
Because I felt like I kind of even forgot, like when I finished the first one, they gave you like the little percentage. I think I was like 33% of like the entire thing. I was like, whoa, I could have missed a lot there. But
Yeah.
then it gave me all the things like, oh, there's secrets, this and that. So then I started to look out for them more. So if there's like a now, before I think that first mission, I was just running, shooting, running, shooting. Now it's like, okay, I'll look around and if there's something interesting or there's a key card, I'll go get it. If I miss something, I'm not a completionist here where I'm like, oh, I got to play it again right away. So it's kind of like a come as I take it. Like if I see something I want to go to, great. But if not, I'm just enjoying the main campaign mostly. So
Yeah, there's been in Eternal like some of the platform stuff is decent, all right, good as I mentioned, but then there's sometimes where there's like puzzles attached to that too, where you have to like do very specific,
oh
moving this platform, like lining up with this laser.
yes,
Which one of them today I had to look up a walkthrough, and this made no sense to me. I looked it up. I'm like, okay, I guess that was the thing, but like there was no hint to that. Like I don't know whoever designed this, like that is the ultimate slowdown more than like any of the for me what is like kind of clunkier movement in Dark Ages. Like this is just slowing the game down to an absolute crawl. So I think some of
yeah,
that stuff, like the platforming is good because it's fun and you have double dashes and you're double dashing into like a bar, flipping off and getting your double jump back and then going back through a thing that gives your dashes back. It's super fun, like those parts. But like the puzzles are, you could have left those out of the game, I think, and it would have been just better.
yeah. Funny, like now, like out of
Like
curiosity,
for bonuses maybe, but this is some of this for like you have to do this weird puzzle
Yeah.
to like get past this level.
And like I said, I don't know if it'll be right after because I'm gonna finish this, then hopefully finish Outlaws, and then like June's right around the corner. So we got the Switch coming, we got Death Stranding coming.
Stranding, yeah.
That's where it's like I'm not gonna commit.
Your
to doing
next few months are kind of booked, I think. At
yeah,
this point.
yeah. Between Switch, Death Stranding, and Donkey Kong, that's a good thing. So that's where it's like if I don't get to Eternal, I won't get to Eternal. I don't think unless it's a very easy playthrough. But I do want to play it because I've enjoyed being back in this world now with Games Pass. This is an easy download. But those few things you've told me have been like the whole puzzle thing. That's not something I want in a Doom game. The second you said that,
Yeah.
that's for me. Like
I mean, it's not. There's not a ton of them. It's just it's a little nitpicky sort of thing, I guess.
yeah, and I get it, right? Because I said like that's something that you have to do is how do you make the games different. My Doom is you get dropped and you go. Like that's what I like is you're just tearing through everything. But like I said, there's only a few things you can change this game, right? So and the puzzles might be something. And like what is something? Because you said you probably won't play much more of this. Let's say the next iteration of Doom rolls around. Like what do you want more just 2016 like a back to basics sort of thing of just that? But I guess it's kind of tough now because you've had this would be your fourth installment. Do you want just like a different era? Like is there something that obviously parry and some things in here? Like I guess you don't want a shield for sure, right? You don't want that to stick around.
I don't want to be. I don't want parrying to be as big a part of it. If I can
Yeah.
chuck my shield like Cap and it has a chainsaw on it, cool. Like I'm fine with that. But if the fallout of that is that I have to kind of parry a bunch of things, or I feel like I have to parry a bunch of things, that's a no go. But yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot this weekend, especially because like thinking about 2016 a lot, playing this game plus Eternal, like just really Doom's all over my mind. I'm thinking like, man, how do you take what is that just I feel like perfect formula of 2016 And like, how do you innovate on it in a way that's like just the right amount? And I feel like for me, neither Eternal nor Dark Ages is quite that. And so like just the simplicity is kind of what I'd want. But like, I don't know, would I just want more levels with the same enemies and like a couple new guns? Like I do feel like it is hard, and that's why I think the reinvention that they've gone for is a decent way to go about it. And I do like the new movement mechanics added in Eternal, but I don't think I'd want any more. You know, like you get like a double jump, you have 2 dashes, there's like, you know, you're climbing on certain walls, which is pretty fast. I normally hate climbing in a lot of games, but it's pretty quick in this. You have like the Prince of Persia poles that you're flipping off. But like I don't think I'd want them to make it like more complicated than that. And you know, it's fun when they throw some of those in the middle of a battlefield, because you can do that in between the middle of a battle, which is cool. Get away from an enemy or get close to one, close the distance, and then you get like the puzzle platforming sequences because of that. But yeah, like I don't think I'd want them to evolve on that anymore. I do think seems like the, I guess, focus. I don't know if it's focus, but just more highlighting the melee mechanics that Dark Ages is doing. Like I do want to see that ball and chain. Like if it's really fun and it's only a mission or two ahead of where I'm at right now, I might jump back in there and like keep going with it. Or I don't know, if the game's like pretty short, like if it's only like 10, 12 hours, like I might just trudge through it and keep going, because I'm sure I'll eventually find that fun. But I do think like some of the melee stuff could be a really fun way around it, because the glory kills, great fun, but it gets a little bit old after you've done it a bunch of times. And so I think just like changing up what the melee, and I don't know, in Eternal, like a big part of it is you're using, you know, the glory kills are what you use to get health back. You have like this torch thing that you use to drop shields out of enemies, and then you're using the chainsaw to get ammo back. And I just feel like I have not figured out the hook of the chainsaw yet. Like I feel like I'm either out of fuel, or like this enemy's too big and I'm not allowed to use the chainsaw on it, and so I'm trying to get used to that too. So it feels like maybe once again they've improved on some of that with Dark Ages. But I honestly, like, sometimes a first game in a series is exactly what I needed, and I don't need any more. Like I always go back to Borderlands, was that for me. I never needed another Borderlands. The first one nailed it. You can add new mechanics, new classes, new skills, new guns, but like I'm content with the first one. Go off, make something else new and interesting. I think that's kind of where I'm at with Doom. Like I don't know if anything could really eclipse what 2016 is to me in terms of that, just that really fundamentally sound game, but I'd love to be proven wrong.
Yeah, and I think some games can do that, right? And like I said, I'm always down to jump into this world every once in a while, every few years. I think, like I said, for me, is obviously some new weapons is always good, but I like this idea of different eras and different shading, and well, I guess I don't know what more you can do. And I don't saying they have to go like full Assassin's Creed where, oh, here's the Egypt era and here's this, but like that is like a good hook, just like look wise, right? And you can kind of dive in a lot of kind of history, maybe. Obviously, it's a very loose sci-fi, crazy history, but yeah, no, and I agree with you that there's many games out there that are just, you can't. It's kind of like a lightning in a bottle, right? You can, or you can return to it years later, like a remaster or remake, or change it a little bit, but there's only so much you can do. So,
yeah, and then I guess in terms of the moveset, like the weapons you have in Eternal, to me that like it mostly feels like pretty on track with what the doling out of weapons was like in 2016. The weapons, none of them are too crazy yet, but you get like fun little add-ons to it, or like, as I mentioned, the shotgun eventually gets like a grenade launcher to it. The plasma rifle I really like in this, where after you've like charged it up a bunch, it gets like this big overcharge like energy thing, and then you can like left trigger to blast that out, and it deals a big AoE, which is super fun and feels great every time. You know, you eventually get the rocket launcher. I think the railgun thing I have right now, I can do like a sniper upgrade for it, and I just haven't done that yet, because you know that's not how I play Doom. I'm not precise. You know, I'm missing shots all the time, so I'm not gonna waste my precious ammo on that. But yeah, so far the weapons seem pretty by the books in that way, but like good upgrades on there. You know, grenades and all that kind of fun stuff on top of it. So I think it was really more movement and like I think bigger maps, less linearity in terms of being able to go around, do other things. I feel like that's some of the new stuff. And then another thing that, you know, I didn't even realize was part of the single player, but obviously with the multiplayer of Doom Eternal, it was the asymmetrical multiplayer where you could, you know, someone was like Doom guy, I think it was just one, against like a group of demons who were controlled by players, right? And so obviously they built that into the game where you can like control these demons. And so that's like part of the single player too. I just got to a point in the story where Doom guy goes up to like a console, plugs his hands in. There's this huge Revenant, which are like the big ones that have like the rocket launchers on top and the jetpack. It's like in an Iron Maiden. The Iron Maiden like closes and crushes it, and then it like pops out and you just get to control it. So there's like this little arena where you get to play as the Revenant. So obviously like if they built up for multiplayer, it makes sense to fold that back into the single player. And so I feel like that's the equivalent of what Dark Ages is doing with adding like different ways where you're not just always playing Doom guy, mix it up a bit. And so I'm sure just like that, there'll be other points in these missions where you're controlling the other demons that were all of the ones that are presumably controllable in multiplayer, and you're not playing as like the rinky-dink little like zombie guy. You're only playing as the cooler ones that have like multiple moves associated with them. But even that, it was like a pretty short sequence. Like as long as this 2.5 hour long mission was, I was at the Revenant for like maybe 3 minutes or something. Like it was a pretty quick sequence, and it's not like I can just switch between that at any point. Like it was like a guaranteed point in the story. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how much more of that is in there. And like I don't think there's like a skill tree for the Revenant or anything. Like it seems pretty basic, just like a little something to mix it up for a few minutes. But that was fun. I did like doing that. The moveset had like just enough to it where it was fun to cruise around in this arena, control it in a different way, and break up just like. And not that it was monotonous, but just break up that gameplay cycle a little bit. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that was a cool addition. But once again, that feels like if they never did the multiplayer thing, would they have added that feature? I don't know, because I feel like part of it is like, oh, we can build this and we'll serve two games at once, two modes at once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other. I think I've maybe been a little negative on Eternal. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think the movement is really great, and it feels like a little bit more basic, a little more back to like what 2016 is, just with like more movement mechanics, and then there's other things on top of it. But when you're like in an arena and you're doing a battle, it feels very much the same in that way, but just like a little bit more motion to it. So in that way, it has been a lot of fun, and I think I'm going to keep going with it. Definitely will. I don't know how long the game is. We'll see if I get bored of it at any point like that, but it still has like the same thing where every once in a while I'm getting a new weapon, new upgrade that keeps it fresh and interesting. So yeah, I think I'm going to keep going with it, and then who knows what'll happen with Dark Ages.
that's weird because you said like people talk about it being longer, but like on average it says like 14 to 15 hours for Eternal, but then for Dark Ages people say 17 to 20, which feels odd. So maybe I'm wondering if maybe if they changed it and instead of the longer missions at the beginning, there's more at the end. But to me, I don't know how that would feel. And like I said, that to me is like a perfect amount of like a nice experience for this type of game. So yeah, we'll report back.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Doom, Dark Ages, or any like I don't know questions? I guess you'd have for Eternal, anything like that, or I guess also question to you of like obviously you're liking what direction it went with Dark Ages, but I don't know. What do you think is next, or what do you want next from Doom?
Yeah, like I said, different era. I'm trying to think what else. It's tough because we talked about already those 3 situations you could do, and I'm trying to think of what like. I was trying to think if there's some not open world in a sense, but something where it's tough though because I think that would break the thing of like a non-linear like just level like something.
I think from what I understand, Dark Ages does that at some points. Maybe that's why it's longer. Maybe there are a couple like it takes you 2 hours to get through this mini open worldy level. I guess obviously it's not like one continuous map or anything like that. It's still chunked out into 22 chapters as we mentioned, but
yeah, and that's where I wonder if like could you do something like that, like a whole game that has a continuous map, but then at the same time it's like do you take away what Doom is? And that's like always the toughest thing with these franchises that have been around for so long. You want to do new things, but you don't want to do too new, especially because there's casuals like us that play them every once in a while, but you got those hardcore people that no matter what a Doom's out, they're gonna buy it. You don't want to like make those people mad or not like what they're seeing. So it's like you can only change it so much. So yeah, I don't know. It's a tough thing where it's honestly, like I said, I'm fine if we get this. What are we in 2025? Like if it's a couple of years from now, 3-4 years, and it's a new Doom game, and there's just new guns and new setting. I'm pretty okay with that. Like I enjoy them, and like I said, I think this is the rate that Eternal I would have played. I think Eternal was just a different situation where when it came out, there's a bunch of other stuff out. But for me, like 3 years for a Doom game, that's right when you start to kind of miss that idea. But yeah, I really don't know, and I would hate to be this team because it's been a long franchise. As not hate because obviously the game's reviewing very well, so I think they'll go ahead and do another one in the future. But it's just like. What do you do? What I don't want is I don't want vehicles. Like I know, like it sounds funny enough because I like the bad and stuff. But, like for me, that's where it's like okay, the kaiju, the dragon or whatnot. Those are some cool things I can't do in other games per se. I don't want like here's the Doomslayer mobile, and it's like. And that would be my worry. Same thing. Let's say, oh, it is a continuous map. Well, to get across the map, you can jump in this vehicle, right? And again, if it's just that, that's fine. I don't want a situation where, and this is where going back to like hardcore fans, in Arkham Knight, I hated the Batmobile. I loved driving it, but all the missions where you had to switch into a tank, became to a point near the end. I was really over this, especially when some final boss battles were like, okay, you're gonna fight Deathstroke in a tank. It's like, to me, that's where it's like that should be like a kaiju, where it's like, okay, there's like 3 tank missions as Batman, that's fine. But as Batman, I don't want. But at the same time, I get why they tried that, because Arkham City, Arkham Asylum and City, the difference was just map was bigger, right? In Asylum, it was you're locked in jail. This is you're in Gotham City Asylum, right? This was like, well, you can't. They did a bigger city, but still, it's like, well, we are. That was the gimmick of the last game. What do we do? It's like, well, what if you could drive in the city? And the Batmobile driving was great, but then the actual levels, and that's where for me, vehicles anytime they get involved in games are scary. But I could see that where it's a cover and you see the Doomslayer driving through a bunch of guys, because it feels like they're experimenting with that a little bit. Maybe you'll have to tell me in Doom Eternal if you start to do some things that are equivalent to the Dragon and the tech, but I had never heard about that. So that's where I wonder if they're like, oh, let's experiment with that more. And I just don't want to. I always want it to be little tastes of that. I don't want a Doom game to be such a big kind of do-over, like I said, with the God of War. To me, that's not what I'm playing it for. But at the same time, you got to be different. So it's tough. So like I said, it sounds very simple, stupid, new weapons, new era. It works for me, you know, something that would, but I don't know with like the Dark Ages. The second I saw the preview, the art, that was like because I like medieval stuff, I like Lord of the Rings, that was like an instant, oh man, here we go, I want that. I don't know how many eras there is that for me, and the eras they would cover, like I don't think they're doing a pirate or like a cowboy, like those are the eras that I love. So it's
and the
like,
other games are already kind of like far future, right? You're like on a spaceship, you're you're going to hell, of course, but there's like high tech stuff, so it's like it's not like they could just do the polar opposite now, like they've kind of already done that to some extent. But yeah, it's one of those things where like I never would have predicted after Eternal that like the pitch of Dark Ages, but then also just like the individual mechanics and stuff would be like the direction they would go. That seems like such a huge pivot, which I think is like just shows like the creative people there are really creative. Like obviously they're coming up with like crazy new ideas, and so to some extent I'm really curious like how would they evolve it again? How do they keep doing it? How do they keep doing something new and fresh? And like, oh yeah, which Doom was the one where you go to the Dark Ages, like, oh, it's Doom Dark. Like, you know exactly what it is. Where some games like, oh, was it Halo 3 or 4 where they went and did this? That? It just like these games are so set in stone. I feel like the original trilogy maybe it doesn't have as much of that identity, but I feel like this new trilogy does to some extent. So I would be curious to see what they do. But I also I think I'm down for them to do like a new IP or revisit one of their other. Id is obviously this is like a different version of id than like made the original Doom, right? But like, I don't know. There's just so much IP. One that's just in their backyard, but also now in Xbox's or Bethesda's backyard. So there's a lot of places they could go, or other. Like, I don't know. I think even just give this team like the next mainline Halo game, and don't make Halo just like what Doom is, but like their ideologies, the way they look at games, give that to a Halo team, and I think you would have a very cool game. It would be a pivot, but I think that's kind of what Halo needs at this point. I don't think they're going to do that, but like I think that would be super cool if they gave them like just a different IP like that, or if they just want to create something new. I'd be down to see that too, because like just such an endlessly creative team, whether it's the visual side of things, gameplay side of things, like they're just making super interesting stuff. Even if once again this one was a bit of a miss for me.
It's tough because I'd love to say something new, because I think that idea of we're always like, oh, well, you're kind of stuck with the demons and that. You do something new, the chains are off, right? You can go anywhere, and the idea of, okay, we're going to do, let's say, something similar to Doom where it has that type of play style shooting, but it is something completely different. It's not, the Doom Slayer. But at the same time, we're in a very tough spot in the gaming industry where it just feels like similar to some stuff of the movie industry where are they going to be able to pitch like, oh yeah, we want to do this new franchise? Like, yeah, but like we'd really just like another Doom, because it's like we know that has like a built-in fan base. We kind of know the numbers in general will get there. So it's tough. Maybe they could do something even on a smaller side and be like a proof of concept. But I'd be completely down to see this team do something new. But I think your idea of them doing another IP is probably more likely if they don't do that. And at the same time, then they might just go, then we'd just rather do Doom. If that was the pitch, if like you can either just do Doom or different IP, they might just go, well, we're safer here. Like, do we want to go to Halo and like maybe make some people mad? It's like, no. So that's where it's the push and pulls there. So
I imagine this game is going to do well sales wise. Like obviously it's launched into Game Pass day one, so you're naturally going to lose some sales on Xbox there, but it is also on PS5 day one. Doom Eternal was on Switch 1. I imagine they'll find a way to make this work on Switch 2. It might just take a few months. So I think this game's probably going to sell quite well. And so, to your point there, like I could see Microsoft just saying, oh yeah, well, greenlight another one. But if you pitch anything else, we're just gonna chuck it in the trash and just like keep making some Doom stuff. Which I don't. Maybe they do DLC for this. Who knows?
Yeah.
What's going on there? What do you by the way, yeah, the video game draft, it was on Kirkland's list, and
Okay.
funnily enough, and I put it on this list when the reviews dropped, so it's at 85 for Kirkland. It might have gone up
It's good.
since I put that in there, but now me and Kirkland are tied, 250 points
Oh boy.
tied on the draft. So that's
Do you have the
obviously
same
that will
amount of
change when more
games
games
come
come out. But what'd you say?
Do you have the same amount of games out right now?
We do.
Okay, good,
So I have
good.
Night Rain coming out soon, then Ghosts, and then he has Mafia and MGS Delta. So that's that could go any which way.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't been
you're
on
right.
since that the GTA delay.
Yes.
But I don't regret it at
Unfortunate.
all. I don't. It was worth the poll because if I got that could have been a game winner. So
Yeah.
And I can't remember. Do I get to replace that or no? I can't remember.
Yes, when we do
did,
our
okay.
like Gamescom
After summer, yeah.
thing, when we pick some new stuff, we always figure out the number at that point in
Yeah.
time. But yeah, you can definitely pick something new
Ah,
in that
damn,
space.
Donkey Kong's gonna be out by that time in cart, but that's okay. And
I don't
Nintendo's
think
going.
Donkey Kong's gonna be doing big numbers review wise. Yeah, so I think you're fine to.
You think it'll be below an 80?
I
I don't
could
think
be.
so.
I think it could be.
Isn't this team that did Odyssey, and Odyssey did good numbers?
There's been a lot of previews. Maybe people have only played like 2-hour chunks of the game, but I'm hearing like, that's fine. I'm still excited. I'm still buying this
Yeah.
bad boy, but
Yeah.
like I don't know. That's just the murmurs that are trickling through the streets. That's
I think that to me is confidently in the green, Donkey Kong, in my opinion.
oh yeah. Okay. I guess yeah. What is because anything below 80
think
is yellow on Metacritic, right?
Is it 80 or 75? That's where to me like
Yeah, it
80
might be.
on the-
Actually, it might even be 16. No, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Metacritic says.
Yeah, to me, I think that's like it's still in the green. So that's why for me,
Yeah.
in when we get to the summer and there's games that you're picking, all the big ones are gone. So okay, having a solid green can win you the draft because some of the other games can come out
Yeah.
and not do well.
Do you
but
think-
Nintendo's
Do you think
going to
Sony's gonna have another big spice? Like obviously, Ghost is their big fall game. Do you think Sony has another one ready to go?
I don't think so, but at the same time, Astro came out really late, right? And that was kind of out of nowhere in a sense.
True, that
so-
did get announced pretty late in the year.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say no, but I'm not gonna say like it's a hard no.
Yeah.
We got the summer, we got Gamescom, we got Summer's Games Fest, we got tons of stuff. Like I said, Nintendo said they're gonna make Gamescom this year, so there's lots of announcements. But I could see them just sitting out again with the Switch launching as well, knowing hey, that's gonna be a lot of the Christmas sales. We'll get that. We'll get them back next year with some stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have two last questions for you. One is Doom Dark Ages at Game Awards. Like I don't think it'll be Game of the Year nominee. I think it's probably gonna like just sweep action game or something like that. But like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you imagine for Doom Dark Ages at Game Awards?
I could see action, and then whatever the shooter ones are. Right? There's always
Action.
that.
They have action and action adventure.
Okay, action adventure, yeah. And then isn't there just a shooting first person one, something like that?
I don't think
Or
there's
is it
shooter.
not?
I think there's just
Probably
action.
not. And then they do score and soundtrack, right?
Yes, which I think 2016. If it didn't win, it was like definitely a nom, and I forget what Eternal did. I know people didn't like Eternal's score as much just because there was some
Yeah.
like drama with the composer and stuff. But I think,
Of course.
yeah. But I think, yeah, I imagine.
Yeah.
I
I'm
imagine.
not saying a
Doom-
lock, that's one I could see.
No,
like,
no, yeah, yeah.
think about those ones. Yeah, I don't think anything else as far as like I don't think game of the year unless a lot of the games in the back half under deliver. Like let's say Ghost under deliver, etc. Right? I think there's certain ones that we always look at the calendar and we go, oh, well, these are locks. But it's like okay, no, something like what's the game you're playing right now? You might keep talking
Expedition
about.
33.
Yeah, like I don't think that's one people had there because even if it looked good, still new property, new IP. That could be like, okay, lots of potential, but wasn't there, right? Where now I see a lot of people saying, oh, because GTA's gone, this will win Game of the Year. And maybe it could,
Right.
but it's the same thing as like Oscar was. You never know what's going to pop up at the back half, and you never
Yeah.
know what's going to under-deliver, because it always happens. There's one game that's Astro was a surprise last year, and there's always one game that disappoints where everyone thought it was going to be that, and then Game Awards not talked about like at all, right? And that's
Yeah.
so I think it'll get those general runs, like I said, unless the fall's really weak. I could see it sneak in there because like those review scores are pretty good. Like 85 is pretty good. Like I think we've had Game of the Year nominees that are around that, if even maybe lesser than, right? I don't know. I'd have to do like a full study of Metacritic versus the nominees, but always a chance. But yeah, I think action, score, that's probably about it,
Yeah. And lastly, I asked Taylor this last week. This is like a peek behind the curtains for the fans here, but GTA 6 obviously got delayed. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's like a year now in between it. I think we should definitely do some Rockstar not a retrospective is like a really tall
That's
task for
tough, yeah.
Rockstar, but I mean like that. So I was thinking maybe do we just pick one game or do we just like do like a more surface level of a few games? Like I don't know what would you like to do, or what do you think would be fun or a good route? Like should we go off the wall and do like a bully retrospective, or should it just be like, yeah, let's do like a full GTA 5 episode or GTA 4 or 5, because we don't need to do full replays of GTA 4 and 5. They're probably fresh enough that we could do like
Yeah.
a side quest episode dedicated. What do you think we should do there, if anything?
I think we should probably, whether it's a side quest or the next time behind the scenes, ask and get out the list of the. I definitely think Grand Theft. I wouldn't be opposed to Bully at some point down the line, but I think Grand Theft Auto.
I just want any excuse to play that game and talk about it.
I've never fully played.
I have never played it in my life,
yeah.
so I really want to.
Yeah. So I think what would be good is look at the list of Grand Theft Auto games, and then ask everyone what they've played. If we have a good amount, then I think you could do like a evergreen, like let's just talk about Grand Theft Auto in general and
Sure.
talk a little bit here. But if it's just like, hey, because I know I done San Andreas, Vice City,
Well, that was my thought. Like Vice City, even though that's an older one, and maybe not like the easiest or most top of mind one, like just because GTA 6 is also in that same setting, like would that be
that could
the
be
prime
fitting.
one?
Yeah. So that's what I'd see because if everyone's just like, oh, I just played a couple, then it's like, okay, then maybe we just pick one and focus on that. But if everyone has like a wide range, but yeah, I'd be down. And I for years ago like bought like that GTA trilogy and never touched it all. I was like, I'll
Oh,
play
really?
this
The one that
day.
came out like a year or two ago?
No, even before that, they did like a
Oh, okay.
remaster. I think in like the PS4 era, they like remastered GTA.
Okay. Yeah, because the one that came out recently was like people
awful.
hate like it
yes.
was
yeah, no, not that one. Whatever mine, I think was just remastered. So yeah, I think we'd be down to do something like that at some point.
Did you see the rumors that maybe GTA 4 is gonna get like a remaster thing before GTA 6?
What is it? I love GTA 4, and I actually think GTA 4 has a better story than 5. I don't think people give 4 enough love. I think 5 is just like a bit grander scope, and you got online. But
Yeah.
I really don't know what is the remaster like.
I don't know the last time you played that game, but it's looking rough. I'm not gonna lie.
Of course, yeah, graphically, of course. I just mean
Yeah.
gameplay stuff because again,
But
like,
but I think it's also like just the amount of NPCs walking around the streets, like just things like
Yeah.
it's like we're in New York, but it feels like a fucking ghost town at times. Like, I love that game still. Don't get me wrong; it might be my favorite GTA still, but I think I could see it being justified, but
4 you
hopefully
think's
it's not
your
getting
favorite?
like. I think it is. I think it
it's
is.
mine too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually really got invested in a Nico.
And I'm
Bellic
not
and
even
that
talking
whole
about because
story.
I don't even know if I ever finished the story. I probably did,
Oh, big
and I'm
choice
sure it's
again.
great. But like for me, it's more about the stories you have in the streets. Like that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why I'm here for these games.
Yeah, and say the San Andreas, I wouldn't mind dipping toes back in at some
Yeah.
point because that was just like I feel like
It's a bit of a blind spot for me. Like I've dabbled in it for a few hours,
Yeah.
but like I really need to give it a.
I remember that
playthrough.
game more for like whenever it came out, the meme purposes of just like the
Very memey.
stuff you could do in that game, and that's why,
Yeah.
and that's the game the most. I feel like I would just go in and just shoot stuff up and get the star rating. Like I don't think I've like I have played it, but not to the front of mind. So, but yeah, I think definitely we should sit down and see who's played what and maybe make a game plan there.
Sounds good. Yeah, I definitely. Obviously, I'm clearly having that itch for GTA right now, or even just Rockstar in general. It's been a long time. Like I haven't even played GTA 5 in quite a few years at this
Oh,
point.
you got Red
and
Dead, Dylan. You go jump in Red Dead.
I
2?
should probably play.
like-
That's probably the easy answer. I should just go play Red Dead 2 before.
You think
GTA
Doom?
6,
You
but-
think Doom Eternal is a long opening? Wait till you get on that horse and you can go through a bunch of snow for.
I'll say this: the next time, because I know Red Dead has popped up on Game Pass a couple times, but then they like take it's only on there for like a month. Or
Yeah.
I'm probably lying, but it's on there for a short amount of time relative to other games. And I think GTA 5 just went back on Game Pass actually, so I was thinking of re-downloading that just to mess
think
around
it
for a
did,
few
yeah.
hours. Yeah, but yeah, next I'll make you this promise, unless it comes at the same week as GTA 6. The next time they put Red Dead Redemption 2 on Game Pass, I'll check it out. If not, I'll put it on my wish list and I'll pick because I'm sure it goes pretty damn cheap these days. To
I
pick
think
it up
nowadays,
on
I
sale.
think they've got everything they wanted from it. Unfortunately, the online didn't pop off like GTA, which
Right.
I was really hoping because I love the cowboy aesthetic and all that stuff of playing back then. So I was really hoping, and online's still fun, but yeah, I wouldn't even mind. I guess it's so far away, but I wouldn't even mind us if GTA 5 is accessible to all of us and doing a couple online heists and stuff like that.
that'd
That's
be fun.
I'm very excited for GTA 6 when we can do that, and you can create like your
Yeah.
crew and stuff, and we can recruit people. So
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I'm just GTA very top of mind right now, so it's always good
Yeah.
to go into some GTA tangents there. But thank you for joining me. This is a really fun Doom-centric
Of course.
episode. Not too often we get the chance to do this, so this is a good opportunity. Thank you for joining me. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.